just fire away with some stuff, and it's a little all over the map.
Just keep on doing what you're doing. We'll just talk like we're talking right now. So
cool. All right, guys, welcome to another episode of Gary Williams Stole My Lawn Furniture. We're doing a random Wednesday episode. We don't really have a lot to talk about. We don't want to keep beating a dead horse with the Orioles. We can't talk about Keegan Aiken, Craig Kimbrell, the bullpen, Jordan Westburg over and over and over again because you're just going to want to shoot us in the head. So
no, but we have news. We have news on Jordan Westburg.
Well, we do. Jordan Westburg got announced to the All-Star team, given that Rafael Devers has got a shoulder flare-up, I think was the term I saw.
Got a penis flare-up?
Yeah. So that's awesome. We now have 4 Orioles in the All-Star game, which is going to be phenomenal. And it's well-deserved. Just well-deserved. What do you guys think about Westburg? Do you think he'll get a significant amount of playing time?
I think J-Ram's going to play most of the game at third. I think the cool thing about Westburg is that he's played 35, 36 games at second base too, so they can kind of put him wherever they want on the infield if he's going to play at all. I wouldn't be surprised if he played a little second base, but obviously they're going to try to get Semien in there because he's a hometown guy. But yeah, I think it's well-deserved for Westburg. We talked about this the other day. This stuff does matter, especially, when you have arbitration talks coming up. You have when you look back at the grand scheme of baseball and when you look back at the history of the league, if you look at a guy like Jordan Westburg and if, say, he has a career where he only ends up with, 1 or 2 all-star appearances, people aren't going to look back as fondly as they are if you have 4 or 5. And so every little one matters, and he 100% deserves to be an all-star. He's one of the best players in the American League this year.
Yeah, it did matters definitely a lot more in baseball than it does in like football and stuff like that. Because every single time we'll start talking about like, I don't know, just name a random dude who made like 5 all-star games, and like 5 all-star games is a huge deal, especially for hopefully this happens to Westburg, but like Hall of Fame stuff like that gets taken into consideration. Whereas Pro Bowls used to, I'm guessing coming up here, and even now they're not really as, you know what I mean? For Christ's sake,
all-pro thing. Yeah.
Yeah, the all-pro thing is more their all-star game thing. So yeah, it's a much bigger deal for baseball, that's for sure.
When Tyler Huntley was a Pro Bowler for the Ravens,
I was about to say that.
Now, the one sport I think
the Pro Bowl doesn't mean shit.
Yeah. Means nothing.
Go ahead, bro.
The one sport that it means the most in, without a doubt, there's no argument here. It's basketball. And the reason it means so much in basketball, not just all-star games, but all NBA teams, is these guys can then get like super max deals, and like they can get like an extra like 40 or 50 million bucks or like an extra year of a contract.
Yep.
And also it means so much in basketball too, because actually this is the one. Let me take that back. What is stupid about basketball's all NBA teams is they still have it designated by position. So
they don't
Rudy
now.
Gobert, they don't now?
No, this is the first year, or maybe last year was the first year where they're doing positionless, but you have to vote for a team that makes sense as a basketball team. You have to vote for your first team All-NBA has to make sense. You can't just have 3 centers on there.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you look at it, for a long time, Wilt Chamberlain was a second-team All-NBA guy because Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was in the league. You know what I mean? And Wilt Chamberlain's one of the 10 best players in the history of basketball. And now you have, Jokic and Embiid every year fighting for first and second team, but they're also fighting for MVP. They're the first and second choice for MVP every year. So that distinction matters, I think, in basketball. But when you talk about baseball, like Brooks said, I think when you look at guys like Michael Young, who maybe made 5 or 6 all-star games, you look at them a little bit differently because they made those all-star games. Like, yeah, Michael Young didn't have the counting stats of most Hall of Fame players, but that dude was a really good player for a long time. And I think that all-star games are a good indication of that kind of thing. And not just Michael Young, obviously. That's my favorite example because I love that guy. But
Yeah, he's like the most underrated player of all time, I feel like.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go that far, but he was underrated.
Yeah. Super underrated guy. Yeah.
It's I guess I shouldn't say that, but he's definitely one of those guys that everybody forgets about. And that was one of Dustin and I's favorite players. He's kind of like Westberg is now. Like, he played everywhere. He played short, second, third. They put him in outfield. I saw him a couple games. Like, he was the ultimate utility guy. Like, I love that you brought him up, because I feel like Dustin and I, whenever we get together in Ocean City and we start drinking and talking baseball, Michael Young's name usually comes up at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was never great at one thing. He was just very good at everything that he did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna do some quick hitting stuff real fast. And for those of you watching, I broke down a couple topics. Brooks and Dusty have no idea what the hell I'm going to bring up. It's going to be a little all over the map, so just bear with us, please. First things first. Is Pat McAfee becoming a caricature of himself in the most recent 4 months?
I think he's kind of been doing that. I think that's kind of his thing, but I don't think it's a bad thing. And I know there's times when you watch the show where he's being goofy, and there's times where you watch the show and he's being serious. And I think he's good at kind of making a distinction between the two personalities. Yeah. When he's being goofy and when he's not. I think Big Cat actually does a really good job of that on Barstool. But yeah, I think the way he's taken the sports media thing by storm in the last few years, I don't think it's by accident. And I think that caricature obviously leads to, goofier segments, more funny segments, but that's the stuff that gets hits. And I think it's good for the most part that we have a guy like him doing it, as opposed to, like the Skip Baylesses of the world who just want to make a mockery of everything. I would, much rather watch Pat McAfee have that success and his friends than watch Skip Bayless or Colin Cowherd or another fucking idiot like that, Mad Dog Russo.
Yeah, it's refreshing. What? So I guess I want you to clarify a little bit. What do you mean by a character of himself?
Where he was originally and what he's doing now that he's moved to ESPN, and the reason this topic came to my mind was it seems like he wants to make that splash almost every day. Like he wants to one up himself. It's what I see when I watch the show. Too over the top. And the first instance that I think a lot of people will bring up is the Caitlin Clark, when he called her, pardon my language, a white bitch. And he got a lot of backlash for that. And it just seemed like he was trying to one up himself every day. And I don't know if that's good for sports media, bad for sports media, and that's why I wanted to pose the question.
I just think that's who he is. I think he tries harder to tame himself back a little bit more, to be honest with you, because I just think that's who he is in general. Like, he's an energy guy. Because I've watched him, man. I've watched him since they were doing a podcast, since they were with Barstool, when they were doing a podcast out of his old house in his basement, 3 days a week, and it wasn't live. And he's always kind of been that way. And to be honest with you, since he's gone to ESPN, I think he has. I mean, obviously he's trying harder not to drop F-bombs now, because obviously he can do a couple here and there, just because the Jordan documentary opened that all up for them. And even made that possible for them to join ESPN and be able to cuss like they do. But I think he has a harder time he tries to keep the energy up. Like, they're not a baseball show, and they don't enjoy it that much, besides like one guy on the podcast or one guy on the show. So these months right now are the hardest months, I think, for them, because they're trying to keep like energy up about shit that they don't really care about, to be honest with you. The Caitlin Clark stuff, I think he's very passionate about in general, just because it's Indiana and he's very passionate about Indianapolis. So I think he's gotten pissed off about that. And he's gotten to the point now where he's like, he took so much backlash, and that he's like, I'm kind of staying away from the WNBA and Caitlin Clark stuff a little bit now. And the white bitch thing, like, that's just how he talks. And he kind of came out. He goes, I didn't think that was a big deal. I'm looking back. I understand how people took that the wrong way. And I even texted Caitlin and said, hey, I'm sorry if you were offended by this, or if this came off the wrong way, blah, blah, blah. That's not me saying that you're actually a bitch or anything like that. That's just how I talk. Like he's like, I think that it was a term of endearment. And to be honest with you, the whole time he was talking and saying that whole thing, he was like, I'm on your side. Like, I'm on Caitlin Clark's side. So like, that's just, I just think his Pittsburgh and the way he talks kind of came out there without him. Like he just, the filter came off a little bit, I think.
Yeah.
And I don't want to focus just on the one. And the reason I posed the question isn't because of just one instance. I like his show, but I get turned off sometimes by how bombastic and stupid off the rails it can get, especially when Boston Connor starts talking and asks a question that has 44 sentences. Like he asks a question, then answers a question, then asks it again. Like, what the fuck was the point of this?
I would say that's my number one thing. I hate when when they get into a question and they ask way too many questions. A lot of times they'll end it with like, I know I just asked you 40 questions there, so answer that however you feel. But yeah, when there's a bunch of different questions in there, that's just like, all right, I don't even know how to follow this sometimes.
Yeah.
So I get what you're saying there.
Yeah.
How do you guys think I feel trying to keep you guys on the fucking rails all the time?
See, so here's another point I'll make, because I like how they go off the rails. I like how it's like them and their friends are hanging out and then they just start bullshitting about something and go off the rails. I like that because it's kind of like what we do. Like they're just sitting there hanging out, talking sports, and then they go off into a little tangent. And I'm like, and you feel like you're there, like hanging out with them, and they're going like they're just bullshitting. So I like that about it.
Then you're all of a sudden you're having 2-minute conversation about Michael Young. You know
exactly.
Yeah. How did we get here? How did we make a left turn from the right hand lane?
See, I think that's funny though. That cracks me up. I think it's funny when they do it, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
All right. Second question off the completely random. Are we excited about the Summer Olympics at all?
Not really. Is Mark Spitz going to be there? I don't know. No, I don't have any thoughts on the Summer Olympics. I don't know if there's a Usain Bolt or a Michael Phelps lurking about in any Summer Olympic sport these days, but no, I'm not super excited about it. I am excited that golf's back in the Olympics, so I'll be watching probably that most out of the Olympic games, but I don't really have much of a thought. What do you guys think about the Summer Olympics?
Good, Brooksy.
I'm kind of more excited now that like that shit came out about the swimming stuff that pissed them off. Like that's what I'm more excited to watch now, because I feel like now they kind of created a rivalry a little bit, even though maybe there already was. But I don't.
What are you talking about? I don't know.
Yeah, go.
So let me see if I can find it. But basically, somebody from England or Australia, I forget where it was talking shit, basically saying like the Americans are over the top every time they go out to swim. They play like the national anthem. They're so sick of hearing it and blah blah blah. And I'll find the video here while you guys talk about it a little bit. Sure. But there's a video of Michael Phelps watching it, and you can just like see in his face, he's like, "Man, I should get back in the pool and fuck these dudes, fuck these people up." But the other thing I wanted to mention besides the swimming, I'll obviously get back to that. But like, I wish the baseball, we could get all the good baseball players in there in the middle of it. So I wish the baseball would be more competitive, like the World Baseball Classic is.
If it was like hockey, and they had a season intermission, and the guys took it seriously, and they could go over there and play, I mean, we would absolutely fucking dominate. It feels like. I mean, obviously the Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, a lot
Japan.
Of those Latin American countries, Japan, would put up a fight. But I mean, if you look at the U.S. roster top to bottom, I mean, that's a hard ass fucking team to face. I don't know. That would be more fun if we could watch the guys like Trey Turner and Mike Trout and Bryce Harper go over there and play.
I think a lot of people when I listen to them talk about the Olympics, talk about swimming, they talk about track and field, those two big things. I'm more excited to watch, and please don't think I'm anti-American. I am not anti-American.
Yeah, you
I'm
are.
excited. Shut up. I'm anti-Canada, and
True.
I'm excited to watch the basketball this year because there's going to be some serious competition for the USA men this year. They're saying, and as I bring up Canada, they're saying Canada, Serbia, and France are legit contenders to beat the USA.
So here's the thing about Olympic basketball. They go by FIBA rules. They don't go by the same rules as the NBA. So the rule against standing 3 seconds in the key on defense doesn't exist in FIBA.
Cool.
The rule against the ball being over the cylinder after the ball has clearly missed the basket, that rule's out of there. If you look at France's roster, they have Rudy Gobert and Victor Wembanyama, and they don't have to move from the paint. If anybody tries to go inside on them, they're just going to be fucking – there's no way. So, look – so the strength of the U.S. team is their ability to drive. Obviously, they still have Steph Curry and guys who can shoot, but I think that's going to be a pretty difficult matchup. The U.S. team is really going to need Embiid in that matchup. And then the Canada team is ridiculous. If you look at SGA, Brooks has got this Michael Phelps video up on the screen.
Keep going. Yeah, keep going. I'll wait
if you look at Canada's roster with SGA and a couple of the other guys that they have, they're going to be very good as well. And then Serbia, obviously, with I think Jokic or Doncic? That's Joker.
That's Joker.
Yeah, I think that Doncic is from Slovakia or another country, but
Lithuania, I think maybe, but whatever.
Yeah, he's from one of those countries in Eastern Europe that I'm, not super familiar with. I'm sure they don't have a ton of talent outside of Luka, but obviously he's good enough to go to the finals by himself. He basically did it this year. So,
by the way, the beginning of this Michael Phelps thing where he's frozen right here, he looks ridiculous.
Yeah, I can't do nothing about that. Sorry, Michael.
Yeah, sorry, dude.
All right. Let me know if you guys can hear it or not.
Go.
Okay.
Can you guys hear it or no?
Very low.
It's quiet. It's quiet.
All right. Let me keep talking. Let me mess with it.
I got it. Great Michael Phelps story. So Michael Phelps, for all you guys, I'm sure a bunch of people that watch this know, but he's a former guy. He used to live here in Canton, where I live, and Brooks and Dustin come all the time. He used to go to Nacho Mama's and get them. This is in 2007. So he was training for the 2008 Olympics where he won, I think, 8 or 9 gold medals.
Yeah.
He used to go to Nacho Mama's and get the most ridiculous meal after every training session. He would get a double bean, double meat burrito. And the guy who used to make it, I knew personally, said it weighed like 8 pounds. And he would just house the hell out of that thing because he was burning so many damn calories.
I remember specifically his diet, like when he was training for those 08 Olympics, he was eating 10,000 calories a day because he was burning so many calories in the pool. 10,000 calories a day. That's fucking crazy.
Nuts.
Right.
Okay, so are we going to try the Michael Phelps thing, or are we gonna move on?
Yeah, let's try it. Let me know if you can hear it this time.
I'm just gonna have to see this.
Is that still low?
This was
Got it.
But it is just so much sweeter beating America.
Yeah.
There were a couple of nights, particularly the first night of competition, where we did not have to hear Star Spangled Banner ring out through the stadium, and I cannot tell you how happy that made me. When we're like right next to each other in the warm-up areas, the US have this like infernal cowbell that they ring, and as someone leaves to go to the competition pool, they ring out USA, USA, and I've never wanted to punch someone more.
Wow.
Have you seen that?
No, but I appreciate your comments, Kate. Somebody said that to me. I would lose it. I would literally make them eat every word they just said about me. Because people have done it. Chad Leclos, Thorpe, you guys have all talked about me, and I had the last laugh. So for the Americans, if you see what I just saw, that's the first time I saw it. I would watch that thing every single day to give me that little extra bit of just oomph. Oh, I mean, that's awesome. Well, the good news is the Olympics will be here shortly, and we'll be able to see what the results are.
I got three things. I got three things from that. One, I've never seen the word "oomph" spelled before. That was impressive. Two, I thought his man bun was going to actually unravel during that while he watched that. And three, fuck that bitch, whoever that was.
Yeah.
Yep.
You can see, I mean, for those of you guys who are just listening and not watching, you can see on Michael Phelps' face, and we'll link the video in some way to you guys so you can watch it. You can just see in his face that there's just a different kind of switch for these like absolute elite athletes. Like if you watch the Jordan documentary, you can see it. And he talks about it all the time. Like some guy said something about him 4 years ago, and it makes him pissed off and makes him want to score 60 that night. It's just this little extra drive that they look for. These elite athletes, I think Tiger was a good example of doing that as well and taking advantage of their opponent's weaknesses. And I think if you're going to be that good at something, you kind of have to have that little bit of crazy in you.
Yeah, you find reasons to get angry. You look for adversity, even if it's artificial adversity. You look for it.
Just looking for a chip. Keep stacking those chips.
Yep.
All right, next one. Are analytics hurting the sport of baseball?
I think we had a whole podcast on this one.
And I want to come at it from this perspective. Is becoming more player-centric than team-centric. Like, I think the Orioles are better. Now, they use analytics, but they're a better team. They're not a singular player, as opposed to when you look at, like, let's look at the Angels 2 years ago, or last year. It was Trout and Ohtani, and that's it. That's all you had. Are analytics hurting us?
I will say this just as a guy who – I don't play baseball anymore, obviously, but I watch quite a bit of it and I pay attention to it a lot. I would think I think that it's good for the game in terms of the general improvement of players. I think it's very good for the MLB level. I think it's killing youth baseball a little bit. I think it's kind of like what Brian said. I think the youth baseball aspect of, like, you know, joining a team and growing with the team, I think that's going to be killed a little bit, because if you're a stud and you're young, then people are just going to start trying to maximize those numbers like we've been saying. And that's why I think these Tommy John numbers are so high. You're looking at spin rates, you're looking at velos, every pitch you throw. So you're just trying to compete against yourself. And if you're one of these elite athletes, what you want to do is improve. And you'll do anything to improve, and you'll get crazy about that kind of shit. And you try to push yourself too hard. And that's why I think why these guys, a lot of guys are leading to, you know, getting Tommy John and throwing their arms out. And I think for youth baseball, if you're looking at, you know, how far and how hard you're hitting it, you're not as worried about, you know, the 3 or 4 hitter on your team if you're the leadoff hitter, because you're just worried about getting on base. You don't care if you score or not. You know what I mean? And I don't think that's good for the game long term. So I think it's going to ruin youth baseball in the long run. Hopefully there's a way around that, but that's what I'm seeing right now.
I don't think it's killing it. I think it's making it better, but I do agree with Dustin about the pitching side of it. It's and to be honest with you, it's never going to go away now that cat's been let out of the bag. It's just going to be the way it is now. It's something else is going to adapt to try to prevent these injuries. I don't think like spin rates and stuff like that, if it's showing that that's getting outs, it's just going to be the way it is. It's just something else is going to have to change, whether there's going to be more innings limits, or there's going to be extended rest in between, or something's going to change on that end. The spin rate, now that it's shown that it gets outs, until something else shows that something different, it's going to be there. And as far as some of this other stuff goes, I think it's really good for players in terms of, like you said, Dustin, to gauge on what they need to work on. I do think that we need to start putting an emphasis on the team stats as well. Like you said, Dustin, like runs scored. On base percentage is great. I think that's a team stat. I think that's good for leadoff hitters. WAR is obviously great. You're affecting your team. But like exit velo, that can be used in terms of like mechanics, right? Like, is something wrong with my mechanics here that I'm not getting the exit velo that I want?
Yeah.
I think stats overall are good. It is killing pitchers' arms, that's for sure. And I think that's the reason, because we had this talk at the beginning of the year, but is it the pitch clock? It's not fucking the pitch clock. I'm telling you that right now, it's not. It's the spin rate and the max effort on every single pitch. I mean, we might get to a point here where like starters are going 3 innings. So something's either got to change, or and I just don't know what that's going to be, because like I said, like if it's proven that that's getting outs, then it's always going to be something that pitchers are trying to maximize. So
what's lost with what Brooks said earlier just now is that I think people, so like, yeah, the get on base stat is great. And, you know, that we literally made a movie about it in Moneyball. Getting on base is great. But you know what's lost when you're just focusing on getting on base? It's getting the runner over. It's getting the runner in from third with less than 1 out. It's the little things that don't show up on those stat sheets that really, like Brooks said, we struggled a couple times last week. And the reason we struggled is because we couldn't get runners over, because we couldn't score them. We're struggling with runners in scoring position. And those are the little fundamental, those small things in baseball that you have to work on every single day. And if you're just focusing on, you know, trying to take more pitches and getting on base, you might lose that in your at bats. You're not going up there trying to get the runner over. You're going up there trying to get on base or trying to improve your numbers.
Yeah, and I think that falls on. So let me start off by saying I don't think that the Orioles are not trying to do that. I just don't think they're executing right now.
Yeah.
Because on every team that I played for, there's always rounds in batting practice where you're working on getting runners over, and getting runners in, and you know what the goal is there. Something man on second, we're looking to get something to the right side or the outfield. Getting runners in, we're trying to get something to the outfield, a base hit, something like that. So that comes down to coaching more, but I do, and something that we always had in college, and we had my college coach on here, is that he, after every game, passed out a card, and I'm sure he still does this, or a version of this, and it's probably a lot better now. You had to write down your quality plate appearances, and then he put a value on what a quality plate appearance meant. So if you're not getting a runner over in a situation, or striking, whatever that means, if you're not hitting a ball hard when nobody's on, it's not a quality plate appearance, whatever that means. So coaches need to do a good job, I don't know if it's a better job or a good job of reinforcing this is a team game, and reinforcing like quality plate appearances matter, and getting runners over matter. And I think a lot of them do. But it's definitely something where if you're getting paid to play this game, you're definitely going to, if you're a selfish guy, you're going to be focusing on your own stats.
I agree with Dusty in the youth part of it, and even to the collegiate high school levels. The movement in the game of baseball is really gone. And what I mean by movement is now the bigger bases has helped, and the lack of ability to throw over has helped in Major League Baseball. But a lot of movement is gone, and to what Brooks was saying, we used to call it in college situational hitting. You know, hit a 16 hopper to the second baseman when you have a man on second to get that guy from second to third. I mean, how many times now do you see anyone bunt in Major League Baseball? Most guys don't even know how to freaking do it.
When's the last time you saw a delayed steal?
Yeah. Perfect example. Perfect.
I mean, I don't think it exists anymore. I don't know if it's a viable baseball play anymore.
I don't think. I think
We
just
had a sign
talent.
for
Yeah. I just don't think talent-wise and coaching-wise, because, I mean, that was something that we always practiced when people try to delay steal against us.
Mm-hmm.
I think if there's a team that's good defensively, it's not a viable option because that's good. It's an easy out if you don't execute it correctly.
Yes.
So, and what Brian said, 16 hopper to the second baseman, like man on second, you're looking something on the right side of the plate, whether you're right-handed or left-handed, and you're looking to get it somewhere on the right side of the field, no matter where the fuck that is.
Mm-hmm.
So just, I think coaching comes down to a lot of it.
Yeah. All right. Now, we're not going off the rails, but I told you this is going to be all over the map. All right. You get one choice. You're going to a Chinese restaurant. What are you ordering off the menu?
I get one thing, one item.
You get one item. Like you get to pick L7. You know,
I can't pick like the combo box. All right.
I'm getting General Tso's chicken, baby.
I think that's my second choice, but my number one choice has got to be egg rolls. I'm a huge egg roll guy.
Yeah.
I think pork fried rice is a great answer too.
Yeah, and I get it every time too. But I mean, if I'm going, I'm probably getting General Tso's chicken or I'm getting sesame chicken. But I like General Tso's because I like a little spice. I like spicy stuff.
I want to know what he was a general of. How did he become a general?
There's no way.
That's something we need to look into. I would love to know who General Tso is, and that's a question I don't think is asked.
If he exists, there's no way he exists. But if he does exist,
was he a bad guy? If he's a bad guy, I mean,
I'm changing my answer. I'm going orange flavored beef. You know,
I mean, it's like the cancel culture with like Uncle Ben's and Aunt Jemima and stuff like that. If General Tso's a bad guy, we need to think about renaming this.
All right. If General Tso and Colonel Sanders had a boxing match, who would win?
I'm taking Colonel Sanders.
Yeah.
Who outranks the other? By the way,
I mean, I'm taking an American.
He's got that white jacket. It's like a gi. It's like Hoist Gracie. He's probably gonna like use this weapon.
I'm taking American every time.
Is Colonel has got to be lower than General, right? I don't know.
No.
I think they're different forms of.
They're not.
Yeah,
Dustin. Colonel is much higher than a general.
Okay. Well, there you go. I don't know. I thought they were different branches of the military using different terms, but who knows?
And watch, right, I'm gonna be completely wrong on that, and someone's gonna fucking correct me for sure.
You're gonna get crushed if you're wrong.
It's certainly possible. Yeah. That's the kind of thing people get angry about on the internet.
There go our military viewers. All right, last one, last random one. I'll go back to sports. You could remove one person from sports. One person. You could just get rid of them. You never had to see them again on the field or on TV. Who would it be?
Is this
on the field or TV?
On the field or TV.
Okay.
This is all time or just current?
Now.
All time. All time.
All time. Remove one person from sports ever?
One person from sports. You never have to hear their name again in sports.
Okay. They never existed.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm
still going Skip. I'm going Skip Bayless. I still hate the guy every single time I see him talk. I just want to punch him in the head.
Yeah, but there's so many guys that have done so many shitty things.
Hey, Brett Favre's up there right now. I mean, that's what he's doing again.
What's he doing now? Did I miss something?
He's reopening. He's trying to get his lawsuit reopened against Shannon Sharp because he's a
defamation
douche. His defamation. He's a douche, and he built a volleyball arena with poor people's money.
Yeah, the first name that came to my mind was Mad Dog Russo, but I don't know that I hate him enough to want him to be the only guy. Maybe Jose Batista. I fucking hate that guy so much. Or Grayson Allen from Duke. He might be there. I don't think he belongs in sports.
You gotta pick one, damn it.
I'm just going through. I'll just say Mad Dog Russo, just because I can't think of anything else right now. But there's definitely somebody else that I'm missing here.
I'm going with Skip Bayless.
Yeah.
I contemplated Lance Armstrong.
Back to Brett Favre. He sued McAfee as well for defamation. I wonder if he's gonna try to reopen that again too. I don't think he has enough on him because, whatever.
He doesn't have anything on him. He's sport. He talks about sports for a living. Like
defamation is one of the hardest things to
quantify. Yeah,
especially on McAfee where he's joking 90% of the time. So
yeah,
prove it. I would say, and this is a hard one I'm between two players right now. And they're both Hall of Fame. One's a Hall of Famer and one's Hall of Fame worthy. So probably Antonio Brown.
Yeah.
Just because I think he's a shithead. I was gonna say like OJ.
Yeah.
Yeah, Antonio Brown's a shithead, but I'll be honest. Sometimes I look at his tweets and I laugh.
He's on a hot streak.
It's so ridiculous. It's so ridiculous at this point that like, what are you gonna do? Like sometimes he says something funny.
He was on such a crazy good path to the Hall of Fame and just shit it away.
Have you guys ever seen those lists where it's like $5, $4, $3, $2, $1, and you have to pick 5 guys and make a team? You know, like the optimal team. I don't know if you've ever seen those graphics.
And you get like $20 or something.
So you get $15, and you have to make a 5-man team, and it's descending orders. So you have to pick a $5 guy, $4 guy, $3 guy, whatever. There was a list the other day I saw that Antonio Brown was a $2 value, and I was like, he is literally the best receiver I've ever seen, other than Calvin Johnson. So I mean, it sucks that his career turned out the way it did. I say this all the time because I don't. We've said it on the podcast, I think, before, but I think Mike Tomlin deserves a Nobel Peace Prize for keeping Le'Veon Bell, Antonio Brown, and Ben Roethlisberger, who were 2 of the or 3 of the highest, most ridiculous, volatile personalities of the last 15 years in sports, keeping them all level-headed and competing for Super Bowls every year.
Yep.
I don't know how he did it.
All right. I know Dusty.
I got breaking news.
Okay, we got breaking news. What we got?
I'm pulling it up now. Screen sharing.
On the X machine?
Whoa!
Oh, no!
Yeah.
Oh, no!
I mean,
so good.
This stinks, but congrats, Tim. Tim, congrats, dude.
Good for Tim. Good
Friend of
for Tim.
the program, Tim Meza. For anybody who's not watching and just listening, we just got breaking news that Tim has signed with the Yankees, and we are really pulling for him to come to Baltimore.
No.
For selfish reasons, but yeah, good for him. I'm glad he had a rough. I mean, he's had a rough season in general, but he had a really rough 4 games right there before he got DFA'd, and then ended up getting released. So pretty happy he got picked up by somebody. So it just sucks. It's the Yankees, but still happy for him.
Which means
wow, that's crazy.
That means he's coming. That means he's coming to town next week.
Shit. Do I got to come to town next week?
That means he's coming to town on tomorrow, Thursday.
Tomorrow,
or not tomorrow.
What?
Friday.
I'm looking at flights.
Oh
man. Wow.
Good for you, Timmy. We love you. Hopefully you're watching this, and if you're not, whatever. But
he might
good
not
for you for getting another job as quickly as you did. But fuck the Yankees, and we're gonna be
But he might. So
whenever you pitch against us.
Yeah, I guess the other thing is like I'm not sure if he's starting in the majors because it's a minor league contract. So that's something I need to. I'll text him and find out.
Yeah, we'll text him congrats and then just kind of like throw the. But congratulations, Tim. Appreciate you very much, man.
I'm also gonna call him and bitch him out as well. So
Yeah, tell him he looks terrible in pinstripes.
They're slimming.
All right, I know Dustin's got a roll in 11 minutes. So
Hey,
let's get
send Mitch a that invite I sent you.
What?
Text
No,
Mitch.
he's not going to join. He's on his phone.
He can do it on his
whatever.
phone. He can join on his phone.
Let's go
he's
into
not-
Wander Franco. Dustin,
Yeah,
you want to
we'll
lead
talk
this?
about Wander Franco. Yeah, I mean, the only thing I really have to say about him is that he's a complete piece of shit. If all the allegations are accurate, and we've had a couple of years now of allegations against this guy, and yeah, Hall of Fame type talent, really wasted. He was really fun to watch play baseball, but when you get to the point where you're doing stuff like sexually exploiting teenage girls and whoever, I have no respect for that. And you don't really deserve to be mentioned in the capacity of sports anymore, because you're no longer an athlete. You're just an asshole. I just, yeah, 2 thumbs down for Wander Franco. I don't really have any other thing to say.
It's just a shame. I mean, we're not doing a That's a Shame segment today, but just a pure shame. And what a dirtbag. And I'm actually surprised. I don't know what the legal justice system is down in the DR or Venezuela.
Yeah.
But how did it take this damn long to get this, taken care of?
Gotta build a case, man.
Yeah.
All
Yeah, nothing really else to say about that. In golf news, we talked about Keegan Bradley a little bit on the last week's pod, Monday's pod. It looks like he has actually been, well, it doesn't look like. He has been announced as the U.S. team captain. He has said that he will take the 12 best guys no matter what. So when
You don't say.
When you pick the Ryder Cup, team, it is six automatics based on the world ranking, and also 6 captain picks. What I respect about Keegan is that he said he will not pick himself to play unless he has earned it. Unless he is in the top 6, he won't pick himself as a at-large bid. So I think this is awesome. Keegan being a Northeast guy, I think he's a Boston guy, and this tournament's at Bethpage Black, which is in New York, not too far from him. He's 38 years old, so obviously a little older than the cream of the crop now. But the guys like Justin Thomas and Jordan Spieth, he's going to be able to relate a little bit better to those guys than a guy who's older. I think like Zach Johnson. They just grew up playing a completely different game than the older guys. I listened to several golf podcasts this week about this. There was a disastrous Ryder Cup where Tom Watson was the coach, where him and Phil had a big falling out. And it was just basically over the fact that Tom Watson grew up playing the game differently, and Phil had a completely different, mindset on the game. And Phil's always been kind of a out there kind of guy, but I think he might have been right in this situation. Look, these guys are young, and the best players in the world are young guys. And I think taking a younger guy who's still playing, I think he can relate a lot better to the team. And I think it makes a lot of sense. What do you guys think?
I mean, I don't think it's that Zach Johnson didn't relate to the team. I mean, because he picked all his fucking friends and he's best friends with all those guys. But I don't know. I just got a whole lot more respect for Keegan. It feels like Netflix really made this happen here. With
It's a good call.
how everybody saw all that shit went down. I mean, does this happen if we don't have full swing? I mean, everybody was pretty fucking pissed after they saw how it went down and everything behind the scenes.
It's crazy. Keegan even said this in his interview, that he had no idea. Nobody had said anything to him until they literally called and offered him the job.
Mm-hmm.
So he didn't know the captaincy was available. Everyone thought after Tiger denied it that it was going to Stewart Cink. And apparently Stewart Cink's the only guy in the world that has sour grapes right now. Stewart Cink, by all accounts, is like the best dude ever. So I don't want to say anything bad about him. But look, this just makes too much sense to me. And good for Keegan. But I do think it's crazy that nobody reached out to him at all. He had no whiff of this, but they called and offered. And of course, Zach Johnson, the guy who had to call last year and make that terrible phone call, was the guy who called and said, "Hey, look, you're going to be our guy this year. Do you want to do it?" And he was all in. So
it's awesome. It's a good story. I mean, there's no negative here whatsoever.
yeah.
And that doesn't mean we're fishing for negatives. I mean, it's a win-win. Young guy, can relate to the team. Seems like he has decent personality. Attractive wife. And I remember when we were watching Full Swing, Kirsten goes, "I want to be a golf wife." It's really you're having a blast.
Me too.
Me too.
So
that's awesome.
this is a no-brainer PR move for sure.
Yeah.
And also I don't know a ton about Keegan Bradley and his stances on. Well, Dustin just said it. I guess he's going to take the 12 best players in the world. So I mean,
he said in his interview specifically he doesn't give a shit if it's live or whatever. He was like, if it was tomorrow, Bryson DeChambeau's on the team, he's the best golfer in the world. So other than Scheffler,
love that. That's the way it should be. So yeah, good for him. And realistically, he's not going to make the team probably. He played out of his mind 2 years ago. He's still playing pretty well right now, but I don't think he's going to crack that top 12.
He's a fringe guy at best, and if he has a crazy season next year, maybe he could play himself in. But I don't see him playing himself into the top 6. I would say Scheffler, Xander, and Morikawa are pretty much locks.
Yep.
And then you're looking at Tony Finau, Sahith Theegala, Brian Harman, guys like this, Jordan Spieth, Justin Thomas. Like, there's just a lot of guys. Cam Young, Sam Burns,
Koepka,
just a ton of Koepka. Koepka didn't play great this year, but he could go out and win the British next weekend. I wouldn't be surprised.
Tom Kim, great young player.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking love that guy. Would like to see him. He's best friends with Scheffler, so to get them on a team and let them roll.
Has the European team named their captain or no?
I imagine it's going to be Stenson again. I think Stenson was last time. I'm sure he will be again since they dominated.
Mm-mm. Last year was Luke Donald.
It was Luke Donald. Yeah, it's Luke Donald again.
Oh, okay. Oh yeah, that's right. Why was I thinking maybe Stenson was before that? I don't know why I was.
Well, because by the way, Henrik Stenson winning the Open Champion, the last Open Championship of Royal.
Yeah.
Top 4 guys for Europe, by the way: Jon Rahm, Viktor Hovland, Ludwig Aberg, and Rory McIlroy. That's scary. Those guys.
That's very scary. Very, very scary.
Especially if Rahm starts figuring it out.
Yeah.
Well, right now, Jon Rahm looks like he ate Justin Thomas. He's huge.
He's always been big.
He's been a bigger guy. Yeah, he's
also
if
Hovland figures it out again, man.
Yeah, and then you got Tyrrell Hatton. You got guys like Justin Rose, Shane Lowry, who are down the board a little bit. Robert McIntyre, who's playing great this year. Tommy Fleetwood, who's always
always solid.
Fleetwood crushes in this event.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah. And Fleetwood, I think, is going to have a really good next couple of weeks. I really hope he wins one of these 2 golf tournaments the next couple of weeks.
I cannot believe it.
He has made so much money on tour without winning a PGA Tour event. He's won several times on the DP World Tour. But it just feels like he's been around the hoop way too much for the last really 8 to 10 years to not win. Yeah. At some point, he's got to pull one of these out.
And I think I'm not a smoker, but I think he rips heaters on the course. Which is just kind of cool. I don't know.
Yeah.
that I don't know.
Angel Cabrera, the one that won the Masters.
Piece of shit, by the way.
The Masters wouldn't show. He was winning the Masters, and they wouldn't show him because he'd be in the woods, like ripping heaters during like the final round. Hey, what?
Yeah, can't remember what Angel Cabrera did, but it's not good, and he is no longer playing golf.
What? I thought he was
Yeah,
playing
not.
this season.
Oh, he was cleared to return. He was in an Argentinian prison for a long time for
Oh.
sexual assault. So yeah,
Lovely.
2 thumbs down on Angel Cabrera. He could have won another Masters too if Adam Scott didn't make that
I
crazy
mean,
putt.
unless he was
Um,
clear of it. I mean, this is something I do want to bring up because there's a lot of shit that happens and ruins people's careers. It's happened with a Colts guy. It's happened with the punter from San Diego. That these guys have been. I mean, it's happened with the Duke lacrosse team. Like these guys get. You see the initial stuff and it's terrible, but I mean, there's a lot. Take it from me. There is a lot of fucking lying that goes on. And I know this is terrible and like women get taken advantage of all the time. And maybe it's me having a couple of drinks in me. I have dealt with 5 times the amount of women lying about sexual assault cases than I have them actually being assaulted. And it sucks. And it never gets talked about because the flip side of it, the 1 out of 5 is worse than the 5. I get it. But I mean, when this shit gets brought up, it ruins somebody's career and their livelihood. And it never comes out. I wish it would be made a bigger deal, like at the end of it, when something happens.
When they get
yes.
yeah,
So
when,
like,
when
so
they're
like
cleared.
when it's cleared and the evidence comes out and like, let's talk about why, I mean, so it just bothers me because the San Diego State guy has been cleared and still hasn't signed with the team. And from what I remember reading, like he wasn't even at the fucking party where all this shit happened. So
Are you talking about the punter, the punt god?
punter, yeah.
Yeah, he got totally fucked by the woman, and she never like it came out, but it was a blurb on ESPN, and then it was gone the next day. They do need to come out and do a better job of informing people when these things are cleared. In the case of Angel Cabrera, he has admitted he was in the wrong. He spent 2 years in prison. He's quote unquote reformed. He says he's reformed, but he did the deed.
Still a
and he
piece
went
of
to
shit.
prison. So yeah, piece of shit.
So a piece of shit.
His quote on Golf Digest, the first thing I'm reading is, "I made serious mistakes." So yeah,
Good.
There you go. There's a guy who admitted he did something wrong and is trying to make it better of himself, and good for him. But yeah, like Brooks said, I think this is a big problem as well.
It's a tough and a sensitive topic, but I mean, if lying's happening, that's not good. And you're right; it can ruin people's careers.
Yeah, because like if it
you never take advantage of a woman. You never hit a woman ever. If you do, I'm not your friend. I'm gonna just completely disown you. And it doesn't mean that I'm the judge and jury on this shit, but it's just not acceptable. Period.
Because if it did happen, it's 10 times worse on if she's lying. I get that. I really do. But this is. It gives women ammo. I mean, it gives people ammo to ruin people's careers pretty easily, very easily. And it needs to have a little bit more weight on, like, you just can't throw this shit out, these accusations out there because you're pissed off about something, or you're looking to get a money grab or whatever it is. It just frustrates
to go
me
back to put it back to the sports topic with the punter. I think the Ravens were actually going to draft that punter, and then they ended up drafting the guy
Stout.
We ended up drafting Stout.
Yeah,
we were going to draft that guy.
The
punter's name was like Ariza or Ariza.
Yeah, Ariza, something like that.
Matt Ariza,
because he got drafted. He got drafted by Buffalo. They released him right when that news came out, which is fine, and I get it, but. Why is he
not his fault?
Why is he not playing right now?
Yeah, so now he's been cleared. He was literally called the punt god, and he can't get a job because there's all this bad stigma. It's not his fault. Somebody needs to come out with a piece and say, hey, look, this guy's innocent. It's not his fault. You know what I mean? And if Buffalo wants to sign him back, Buffalo can't do that because then they're just going to look like hey, we're trying to clear this guy of his name when he shouldn't have been in shit in the first place. So, yeah.
Yeah.
I want to. I heard a great this day in sports history yesterday. So, the last non-sanctioned bare knuckle fight occurred in like 1953. Well, what was yesterday? Yesterday was the 9th. On July 9th, it took place on the Tennessee-Mississippi state line. Half the ring was in Tennessee, half the ring was in Mississippi. It went 75 rounds. 75. And the only reason the one guy lost is because he began to drink brandy and iced tea in between the rounds.
Wait, what was this?
What? Both men were arrested directly after the fight because it was unsanctioned bare knuckle boxing. 75 rounds of fighting.
How long ago? What year are we in?
Like 1950s. I heard about it on Dan Patrick show. It was ridiculous. Wouldn't like after like the 50th round, you're just like, look, it's a draw. Like we're done.
Yeah, I'm sick of getting punched in the face. Can you just stop?
I don't understand why they were arrested or why this was even a thing. Like
it was unsanctioned. I don't know. Why was the ring half in one state and half in the other, which is even better?
Makes no sense.
Two things right before we're gonna wrap it up here in the next couple minutes. But two things right before Chris Sale got his 12th win last night. He leads the MLB in wins. Good for him after being injured, struggling a lot with the Red Sox for the last couple of years, getting traded to Atlanta. Now he's one of the best pitchers in the National League. And also, Jose Ramirez last night had 3 hits and got intentionally walked 3 times in the same game.
Holy shit.
Holy shit.
Which is absolutely fucking insane.
Wow.
That's the last person to do that was Paul Goldschmidt in 2015 for the Diamondbacks, but not a lot of guys have done that. And this is via ESPN.com that I'm getting this information. That's a crazy ass stat. But yeah, good for Chris Sale, good for Jose Ramirez. Jose Ramirez, I love talking about it as much as possible because I think that guy's so good.
What's Chris Sale throwing these days? Is he just like really relying on that? I know everyone's talking about slider being back again, but is his velo the same as it used to be, or anybody know? I don't think I've watched him pitch live yet.
To Baseball Savant here, and give me 1 second.
In his prime, I believe he was up around 96.
Sounds
He is. His Baseball Savant page is all red, which is all very good. The only thing that's not red is his velo, which is in the middle. His average fastball velo this year is 94.8. So he's still good. He's throwing 95, you know. But yeah, his whip percentage is 31%. His K rate is 33%. His walk rate is 5%. Barrel rate 5%. These are crazy numbers. What a stud that guy.
What is the number one job as a pitcher?
Miss barrels.
Miss fucking barrels.
Miss barrels.
That is that should be the stat. Besides not walking people as well. If you're missing fucking barrels, you're doing your job.
He is in the 81st percentile with a 5.6% barrel rate. So that means less than 6% of the time people are swinging the bat, they're barreling up the ball against him, which I would think is pretty good.
Another crazy baseball stat that I just looked up: rookie Reese Hinds, Hinds, for the Cincinnati Reds. He's been up for 2 games. He has 15 total bases.
Holy shit. What? Good for him. He spells Reese real weird, by the way. And his middle name starts with an X.
It's got to be Xavier, right?
He's 5 for 8 with 2 dingers. Good for him. Nice start to your career, dude.
He's hit 3 home runs totaling 1,232 feet in his first 2 career games. Good God.
Holy shit.
Oh, no, that was Trevor
Man, they must
Story.
be
Trevor
playing right now.
Story,
Probably hit one already.
15 total bases in 2 games. That's fucking insanity.
Yeah, that's a lot of bases.
Oh,
All right. I'm going to go get lunch with the
All
lady.
right, guys. Yeah. We're going to
You-
today was a little bit more freeform. We usually have a little bit more of a structured show, but we figured today we were going to go a little bit more freeform, just kind of talk about stuff we've been thinking about for a while. And I think it turned out pretty good.
I hope so.
If you guys liked it, let us know. If you didn't like it, we won't do it anymore, and we'll try to figure something else out.
if you didn't like it,
But
if you didn't like it, keep it
thank
yourself.
you guys for listening. That's fine. That's fine.
Brooks
too.
is on one today. I like it.
I got some John Daly's going right now.
All right, nice.
Oh boy.
And next
I'm
week's
gonna go
draft
lunch.
is
I
going to
haven't
be
eaten today.
killer. I'm so
Yeah.
excited for next week's draft. I'm really pumped about it.
We're not going to tell you what next week's draft is, but my shirt may be of some indication. It's not going to be Roddy Piper specific though.
Roddy
Yeah.
Piper.
He came here to kick ass and chew bubble gum, and he's all out of bubble gum.
All out of
Hold
gum,
on one
baby.
second. Hold on 1 second. 1 second before we go.
One second.
Uh-oh.
Keep talking.
What are we
Just here
talking
so I
about,
don't get
Brooks?
fined.
What do you
In
want us
the
to talk
words of Marshawn Lynch, I'm just here so I
You
don't
want to
get
talk
fined.
about how Sammy Sosa has more than 600 career home runs and he played like 12 years in Major League Baseball. I want to talk about that a little bit more. I
Yeah, he's
know
a name.
there's
He's
some-
like we talk about Bonds a lot, and obviously McGuire, but Sosa I feel like gets thrown to the wayside pretty.
He had
easily.
Sosa
4
hit
years.
50 home runs like 8 years in a row.
He hit 60 4 years in a row. 60. And he never won an MVP.
No, he didn't. I love those old Cubs teams, man. Those teams were stacked.
Man, do
Moises
I fly?
Alou.
Zambrano.
Do I fly
With,
out to Baltimore
with
this
pitching
week?
Staff. Yeah, Moises Alou.
Yeah, why not?
You could fly out to Baltimore this week.
I just texted
Derek
Tim.
Lee was the first baseman.
I was like, "You got time for?" I was like,
Ryan
"You got
Dempster
time."
might have been on one of those teams.
Okay, let's talk about this. Derek Lee stunk for the Orioles, and I'm pissed about it because I was so pumped when he came, and I don't think he
wasn't that
batted it.
bad. He was definitely better for the Cubs. He was at the very end of his career
What?
when he was with us.
I know, and that was after he broke his wrist too.
Yeah. All right.
I got a text out to Tim to hop on a call. So I mean, we might be doing a live podcast. This
It's
weekend, we'll see.
Is it possible that Tim is he going to be on the major league roster? Or did he sign a major league contract or was it minor
No,
league?
he said
No.
minor league deal.
It's minor league deal. That's why I want him to call me. I'm trying to see if he's got time for a
Okay.
call. Just so I could talk to him before we do anything. Because I was like,
Yeah,
I can't.
he's going to be.
If he's not in
if he's gonna
Baltimore,
be
I'm like,
out
I
here-
can't fly out there.
Yeah.
All right, boys.
We got-
let's go eat
I-
some food.
Derek Lee
I-
had a fucking season.
I had some- I had
2005.
some-
Look at 2005 Derek Lee stats. Blow your mind.
Now, look at Barry Sanders last year at Oklahoma State. That will blow your mind.
What?
I think he
Oh
averaged-
yeah,
He
Does he still hold the record for touchdowns in a single season for NCAA?
I don't
it
know.
was,
LT?
God, no, it wasn't Jonathan Taylor. Maybe it was like Monty Ball or something broke it. Let me look.
Monty Ball.
Most rushing TDs season.
We got a friend of the program calling in right now. That's why I'm holding.
It is Barry Sanders. Monty Ball is second though.
Oh,
I knew that didn't come out of nowhere. Barry Sanders had 37 touchdowns in 1988. Monty Ball had 33 touchdowns in 2011.
Barry Sanders averaged like 230 some yards a game for Oklahoma State. Barry Switzer tells a phenomenal story. Barry Switzer coached Oklahoma at the time. And the running back in front of Barry Sanders when he was a freshman and a sophomore was Thurman Thomas, who's an NFL Hall of Famer.
I didn't know that.
That's crazy.
Barry Switzer told his team not to hurt Thurman Thomas because you don't want to see Barry Sanders on the field.
That's crazy. Thurman Thomas, Buffalo Bills, great.
Yeah.
Hell of a fucking running back from the 80s. If you look up his stats, you'll like what you see there too.
I got a screen share coming in. Screen share. Come on, share.
Sure.
Ryan Ripken just tweeted, guess this is a good time to bring this back when we asked Tim about giving up number 61 to Judge. Sorry, Tim. Something tells me you might get a lot more Judge home run autograph requests in New York.
Yeah. I didn't even think about that when they signed him. The only thing I could think of was this sucks for Orioles fans and for us specifically. But it doesn't suck, obviously, because we're rooting for Tim. He went out and he got another job for one of the best teams in the league. So
hopefully he's very, very good and doesn't pitch against the Orioles. That'd be great.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
Brooksy,
Pitch
let me
very
know.
well.
All right, we can head out of here. I was going to have Sean
Yeah.
Foy on. He wanted to come on and have a beer with us, but he's taking too long. So
That's fine. Hey, Brooksy, let me know when you talk to Tim if he's on the major league roster and then or if he's going to be with the club coming out here, okay?
Yep, I certainly will.
Because then I'll adjust
All right.
some schedule stuff.
All right,
All right, Bob.
see you, boys.
All right, fellas.
Hey, boys.
Happy Wednesday. Love you guys. See you soon.
Love you too.
Love
Be
you,
good,
boys.
guys.